Hey YouTube, just wanted to make a little video to a quick one, keep up the weekly streak going. Wanted to talk about the May WCS World Championship Series that happened. Pretty interesting things. Just kind of wanted to look at the kind of conversion rates of decks as they like kind of progress through the tournament. Got this idea from Sconceless. He's another YouTuber, so definitely check him out if you haven't already. So talking about the decks that made it to the top 4, we've got our meta kind of options, which are Fight Against Inner Demons, Despair, Wail, and Perish, Raging Demon, and Denjin Renki. And then we've got some little tech options in Wrath Awoken, Dark Destruction, and Temptation, which are kind of like, I guess, meta choices that you bring to the tournament and be your third slot after you bring 2 meta decks typically. And interestingly enough, we've got a few more tech spots opening up as you drop down to the top 8 with Hey Nico showing up, Charge Shot showing up, Darkness Illusion showing up, Shield Spire showing up, and then at meta deck, Yawn couldn't quite make it to that top 4 spot, even though they were pretty present, one of the most represented decks in the top 8. They just couldn't. There's 3 Yawn players, they just couldn't make it. So I think what also gets interesting is when you start talking about conversion rates and being like which decks converted the best from the top 32 to the top 4, and the best performing decks are actually those tech decks. They're going to be Wrath Awoken and Dark Destruction, and even Denjin Renki, since 2 of them appeared in the top 4. It means 2 players played Denjin Renki in the top 4, and there was only 6 to begin with. So 33% of them got converted into the tops. Now there's some things that have high conversion just because like a lot of them got played, like around the 20% ish range. Fight Against Inner Demons, Despair, Wail, and Perish, Raging Demon, those guys all did well. But things like Dark Destruction and Wrath Awoken, only 4 people brought them, but 1 of them made it to the top 4 for each of those decks, which is pretty neat. So maybe want to keep your eye out on those decks for tournament play in particular. It's hard to compare these with ladder, I think, because you know you've got Dark Destruction, but then say the other 2 decks were like Fight Against Inner Demons and Denjin Renki, which actually I guess I could go check, but if they just never played Dark Destruction, that deck just got carried up, you know what I mean? And it doesn't super mean anything. So it's pretty interesting though, and I thought it'd be fun to share. And I think the 2 more interesting cases here were the Yawn decks and the Shield Spire decks, because there was 3 Yawns in the top 8, and none of them could just make that back into the top 4. And I don't know what that means for the deck, but it kind of makes me feel like it's a really consistent deck, but it's not going to be one that has the power to EQ out those wins when it really comes down to it. So I know people love the deck, but maybe it's one that you want to like cruise through the lower ranks with when we're considering ranked ladder, and then when you get to the higher champion ranks, maybe like 1800, 1900 or something, you switch to something with a little more juice, that you can really rake in those wins. But I don't know, I'm just rambling. So I also thought it would be interesting to take a look at the top 4 competitors and check a look at their deck list, because they did get shared on Twitter. So if you haven't seen them, either get on Twitter or just keep watching. Unfortunately, no QR codes for the deck list, because then I'd have to make it myself, and I'm not going to do that. 4th place competitor was Chris D at PA Chris D on Twitter. He played a Fight Against Inner Demons, Despair, Wail, and Perish, and a Raging Demon. Now the Raging Demon list and the Despair, Wail, and Perish are very similar, but I really want to show these cross blades. If you don't know what that card does, it sacrifices your own unit and destroys a 4 cost or less. This is going to be really good for getting double kills, actually, because you see that he's also playing the Geon, and I think this is a really interesting tech in both lists, because what it does is when you play it, a creature unit that you control gets death, destroy, a random 4 cost or less. So he might be trying to use that, the Geon combined with the cross blades, to go for a double 4 cost or less kill. Very powerful. Allows you to turn your opponent's destruction kind of back on themselves in a way, just because they try to destroy your thing, you flip it back onto them. I think it's interesting he's not playing Assassination List, because I think that's a card that's becoming pretty popular now. Destroys 3 costs. Mostly because Fighting Inner Demon does use a lot of 3 costs, but having the 4-cost destroy is definitely very good, but you can see he's upping a little bit on the creature counts with the tyrants and the jewels in both lists to utilize the Geon. I really like that tech. I definitely want to try that out when I can. Then fight against inner demons. I think this is pretty standard. Going up to 4 Mori, I think he wants to make sure he gets this in the opening hand, and of course that's going to facilitate the rest of your game and hopefully just kind of snowball, because that deck can snowball so hard, and Mori just makes it a little bit easier. Our 3rd place champion competitor was Polimon, who played Denjin Renki, looks like a Despair, Whale, and Perish, and a fight against inner demons. This list very similar to Chris D's list, except we've got this just negate right here, which negates, I believe, a 3-cost or less, but then if you get memory 7, it goes up to a 6-cost or less. So this lets you negate things like the curse extraction, gives you a little bit of extra long game that can be very, very powerful. We've also got the take control card, which I think Chris was actually playing too, and I missed it. Yeah, so this card's very good because if your opponent goes in and just goes hard on an Otani in the mirror match, this boy right here, you could just steal him. The 4-cost negate makes it harder for your opponent to negate, unless of course they are playing this one, so it's easy steal. You can steal things like Sigma too when it comes back on the revenge. This card's pretty fantastic, I think, especially in the new meta. I mean, there's a lot of 3-costs running around now that the Ashford twins are the Ashford couple. I don't even know. Alexia and Alfred Ashford are kind of gone. Kind of the 3-costs are back, and they're here to roam. So classic. Despair, Whale, and Perish. Now, Polimon opted for the evidence engine. He's going to hope to kind of ramp up some evidence with the poisons and then get some 4-cost destructions, because this one refunds 3 costs, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you're seeing assassination lists, like I mentioned earlier, coming into play as well. So a little bit more destruction than what Chris D had in terms of action cards. Chris D's going for that Geon tech to try to get the unrespondable. So that is pretty neat there. Just little variations that you can try out for yourself if you don't like one version or the other. And then we've got Denjin Renki. What do you want me to say about this deck? You just slap down action, blah blah blah, burn 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 burn, and then you wrap up with both of these Samurai Showdowns and the sneak attacks doing direct damage to the face, and only 6 units. These ones can't even attack. This one you're using it as an extra field clear. So you're really trying to get that direct damage to the face with Agent's Memories, these burn spells right here, and then like a giant Leon at the end game, and of course Rush. Rush being a really solid card right now because not a lot of people are playing those high cost answers, and you just get action. It's action heavy meta, so every response that you do is extra damage to the face because he's got Resonate, deal 1 damage to the opponent hero, and then if you Denjin Renki it, he's just getting stronger, so it's a great finisher, which you should try out in your Denjin decks. I haven't actually tried him out, so I'm getting a lot of ideas from this video. The 2nd place finisher was Kobashi, and and he played a Dark Destruction here, looking very similar to the Raging Demon. Basically the same list, but with Dark Destruction you get some more pinpoint. You don't need an Ascend unit. It's a little bit more versatile, comes up a little bit faster on the AP2, and ideally is hitting all the threats he wants to hit. The 2-2 split with Crossroads and Assassination list like you saw from Polimon, and pretty standard stuff. Poison Engine giving us some extra evidence to play the Rules Are Rules, which is a fantastic removal card once you have that evidence, and even pretty decent before that. So pretty solid list here. I don't see anything too crazy, but I like it. And I think this is most likely a specific tech. He's got some matchups he knows that this deck is going to be good against, and he's going to be playing it for those. Also, Denjin Renki, as expected. This version is very different than Poyon's though, which is really interesting. He's not using any evidence whatsoever, just going kind of old school with memory. With these guys, just blasting at like 6 damage each to get higher and higher. We get Cherry Bombs for some field wipes, headshots to replace the Samurai Showdowns, and we are playing this one too, which Polimon wasn't playing. Oh, he was playing. I'm stupid. Again, you're seeing the bit. I feel like I miscalled him something earlier, but again, you're seeing the bit here to give that super late game insane damage out. So different list, also doing very well for Kobashi. Pretty cool to see that. What version do you like? Do you like the 6-unit version or the 3-unit version? Dang, crazy. And then we've got Raging Demon, so Kobashi on the Destroy train. Again, the 2-2 split on these guys, and the rules are rules evidence in Joan. And it looks like he also added the 4-cost, 7 to 4 cost Destroy, a nice little Dynamo tech. I love Dynamo. Happy to see him played. This card, I have fond memories of him when I used him to climb in Raging Demon way back when. So I like that. I also like the other Dynamo tech being Ascend to destroy 6 as well, and pretty decently statted. Another solid deck here with a little text, little change ups from his Dark Destruction list that helps him with the matchups. You know, he thinks that he's got a little bit of edge in. So there is Kobashi's deck. I really like how he's brought Dark Destruction and Raging Demon at like almost identical lists, but you can see that, you know, one has Instance of Doom, so they're clearly targeted at specific matchups. I couldn't tell you which one is for which because I'm not in his brain, but I kind of like that option to just either just double destruction it up, or be like, okay, I know you've got a weak answer versus my Raging Demon deck, but maybe not as good for my Dark Destruction deck. So pretty interesting to see his strategy there coming into play for the tournament. It did him well. Second place finish. And the victor, the winner, first place chicken dinner winner, Mare. What did he bring? He bring a Temptation deck. You know, I'm going to be playing that. He brought a Fight Against Inner Demons and a Wrath Awoken. This is the only one I expected. This is the only one. The other two, wild. So let's take a look at this one first. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. This is like the de facto standard version. There's no take control tech. There's no memory negate techs. It's just Mori, Setsuna, flip him to agility, beat face, win. Keeps it consistent. I like that. I like it. He's not trying these funny little tricks. He knows what works, and he just does it. So let's take a look at Wrath Awoken, with deck we previewed last week. Let's see what he's got going on, because this version is different than the one I showed. I kind of made up that one, if I'm being honest. So Wrath Awoken here. I mean, you got the buff cards pretty standard. Some Bombast as expected. He is not actually playing that many Jakes because he's going for the Karens, and the Karens are pretty interesting because I suspect it helps him with the Denjin matchup, just being able to play humans, get a bunch of shields, and then you can Wrath Awoken it. She's just hard to get rid of, you know what I'm saying? And then of course the Legendary Suite, but we've got Chris here to pull out the Karens. You could pull out a Dan, you could pull out this. I kind of like that actually. I considered playing the Chris and the Karens, but I was kind of worried that there just wasn't enough value with the Karens. Just you play them and then you've got to wait till 5 to play another human. But it's definitely worked for him. I might try this on ladder a bit, see how it goes for me, but super solid list. I think you didn't see the games from my video with my non-optimized version. You should go check it out and then try Mare's version, because it's probably a little better. And finally, we got the super teched out version of Temptation. Whew, what's going on here? Okay, I gotta take this. We gotta take this in. Okay, so we got the Morgans. They're gonna be doing damage when they hit agility, flight, hard to deal with. Similar to Ibuki, but it has the built-in flight, and I think that just makes it easier because you don't have to play a hook shot to start beating up on your opponent. And you know, she's not gonna live as long as Ibuki, but just the fact that you don't have to find another piece to your combo, I think was good enough for Mare. So this is super cool to see, I think. A new innovation. on the big resonate. It's not even big resonate, it's just agility flyers right here. I mean, we've got our set of 5 cards that are 5 win conditions. You just want to hold on to them as much as you can. Some cycle here, and I like this tech. I don't think we've seen this kind of innovation for big resonate decks. You just got these 4, which are gonna have, when your thing dies, it just goes back to your EX pocket, so you don't have to dig for another one. You just got to dig for these once you get set up with 1. Of course, a few negates, and then just halts galore. 2 cost halts, 3 cost halts, 3 cost to halt the whole field, and the hero art halts. It's a lot of halts. And then of course this one just giving you a little extra life when you need it. I kind of like that. There's no use for the evidence at all, so it's just a little extra protection, give you that little breathing room so you can get to another halt, another temptation, stall out the game a little bit longer for your flying guys to take the victory. And then in the worst case scenario, you got X Hunters there. So pretty interesting deck. I might give this one a spin. Let me know if you want that, because I don't really like big resonate, but it's a tournament winning deck, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that's all I got for today. Some pretty interesting decks. I know that there's a few I'm going to be trying out on ladder. Especially, I think, the different dungeon versions with Bit. I've never tried that before, so I think I'm going to try that out. Maybe the Temptation deck. Let me know if you want me to just do a full showcase on any of these decks. Try them out for yourself. I hope you enjoy. Congratulations to Mare, Kobashi, Polimon, and Christy for the top 4s. Shoutouts to all the competitors, because it is a grind out there. It's a little too much for me, if I'm being honest, so I am really impressed by all the people who make it into these top 32 tournaments through the in-game tournaments and then grind it out, and especially the top placers. It's very, very impressive. So look forward to the next one. If you want me to keep doing videos like this, you gotta let me know. You gotta get the thumbs up. You gotta let me know in the comments, because this is an experiment. I don't know how I feel about this yet, so it may not happen again. So you gotta give me something. You gotta give me something, people. So until the next video, keep on learning, having some fun with me here on the Durian channel, and I'll see you around. Peace.